a coding channel where we focus on Spring Boot and Angular tutorials. And if you're coming back, welcome back, and we hope you stay tuned and you enjoy this one. So today we have Spring Boot Kafka integration. So we are looking to another cup of code. For the new guys, you can subscribe and like, share the video, and also share the comment down below, and let's see how we can improve together as we write better code and better solutions. So if you checked the previous video, we are talking Kafka and all things Kafka, how we can use Kafka in our Spring Boot applications. And the previous video we went through the overview, and we went through what Kafka is, how it is helpful, and how we can use it in our projects. So now we're looking into the code, and we don't want to waste any more of your time. We just want to get right into it. So let's start from the initializer. So start.spring.io, that's where you'll get the initializer right there. So our project is Maven and our language is Java. And the Spring Boot version, we always recommend the latest stable. So the initializer will already have the latest stable selected here. So we always recommend that. And then we are going to the metadata, which is com.zipcode, and the artifact is event.com. So basically event-driven communication, and that's basically where the name comes from. And then this is a Kafka project for Spring Boot. It's just tutorial, and the package name is like that, so which is fine. And then the packaging will be a jar, and the Java version will be 17, like that. So that's basically the metadata. And then on the dependencies, it's not a lot. Spring Boot DevTools, and then we have Lombok. Also, DevTools is for application reload. We don't have to restart the application after each change. It'll just pick up the changes and start it up itself. Then Lombok, just annotations, boilerplate for POJOs, and to essentially allow us to use the bootstrap code that is available in Spring Boot. Spring Web, essentially to build our APIs and push events that can be published to our Kafka topic and then be consumed in the same way. So Spring for Apache Kafka, I did check the last tutorial. I actually selected the Apache Kafka stream, but we need the Spring for Apache Kafka, and that's dependencies that we need there. So this should be essentially fine. And then the next thing is Apache Kafka. We went through this, we went through the setup and everything on the previous video. If you haven't checked it, check it out. Please do go over that one as well. It is very helpful for the setup stage. And then we went through all of this, and now we are going to see our Kafka in code. And the other thing is the documentation for the integration on Spring to Kafka is also available here. So you can just go through the changes here, what's new, and I'll also have the link in the description down below, so you can go check that out as well. So you can check what's new, what changed, what is introduced, and all of those. And then you can also go to the introduction where the nitty-gritties are. So it'll tell you the Maven dependencies that you need, and going down, all of the dependencies that you need, compatibility, getting started, and then it goes down to the actual code itself. So you can see Spring Boot consumer app. So this is a bin topic cluster for a listener, and basically this is boilerplate code that you can use on your project. And we have properties that is set here for the earliest and all of those. Then we have a Spring Boot producer. Also, there's a topic there, and then we do have a template, Kafka template, that is used to produce a message of test to the topic called topic 1. So we'll see this in live code. So if you don't use Spring Boot, or you're just using Java, you can just go there, which is a much more lengthy and a hideous process. There's a lot of code, a lot of configs that you have to do the groundwork on setting up the configs and properties and all of those. So that's a really big process over there. But I'm gonna keep this short and sweet, so let's just jump into our code and see how that is going to pan out. So without wasting any of your time, I just want to show you we do have we did set up the project here, so I just want to show you how it is going to run. So we're just going to push a we using a vehicle crash scenario. So let's say maybe this, let's say this crash is crash 98765, right? So let's just push this crash over there, and let's say string publish completed. So then it is, so on our logs we can see string publish crash 98765, and the string consumed the same crash that we just produced right now. So that is looking good, and we are happy with that. And this is basically the project scaffold. We'll go through it just now, and then we'll show you this is just a string message that we're passing in. Then there's also the JSON payload that we can pass in and see that in action as well. So there are configs that I need to change for this to work as expected, so stay tuned and we'll see this in action in a few minutes. So yeah, now we can go into the code and see how Kafka gets all of this done. And we're going to start with creating a producer. So I'm going to explain the two producers, how they work and how they are. So first things first, we're going to start with our applications with properties. So this is the producer configurations. And if you pay attention, we have the Spring Kafka producer, Bootstrap servers, which is localhost 9092, which is the default port for our Kafka broker. And then we have the key serializer, which is an Apache Kafka common serialization, which is a string serializer. Then the value serializer is also a string serializer, as you can see here. And then we have a commented out serialization that is happening here on the producer, which is the value serializer, and it uses the Spring framework Kafka support serializer, which is the JSON serializer that we will configure when we're testing the JSON part of our payload. Hence, I said stay tuned for this one, and you'll see it in action. So we do have these two serializers. So Kafka itself doesn't have a JSON serializer. So Springboot or Spring Kafka has assisted us in creating the JSON serializers for us, so that it's easier to interact using JSON, persisting or publishing messages and consuming messages from our Kafka topics. So this is a Springboot this is a Spring Framework serializer that is available for us. And then on the consumer side, so we still set up the Bootstrap server, which is localhost 9092. Then we have a consumer group ID. The group ID is CK consumer group, which is zip code Kafka consumer group. So that is fine. Then we set the auto offset reset, which is the earliest that's possible. Then we have a key deserializer, which is string, and then value deserializer, which is string as well. Just here. And then we have two more for the JSON deserialization. So we just deserialize the value as we are in the producer for JSON. We serialize the value, and then on the consumer we deserialize the value, and we tell it that the JSON deserializer, which comes from the Spring framework that is made available to us, and then we just give it the properties for the JSON trusted packages, and then those packages will be all the packages that are in there, just trust them, so it should be fine right there. Then we have custom configs. Custom configs is just zip code Kafka topic, and that is CK vehicle crash. That's the topic that we're going to use, and I think it's very safe to have your topic clearly defined in your properties file or your configs, so that you don't have to hard code it anywhere in the application. So from here, we then move to our topic creation or building our topics, because everything is set up. So our Kafka is fine, and now it is attached to application. We need to use it. So we're going to start with topic configuration, which is in the package util. So let's go there. So here in it, this is a Spring configuration class, and then we have our value that we get from the applications or properties. So this is the value, and it's zip code Kafka topic, and this is the topic name, and we just create a new bin here of new topic, and we say this is topic, then topic builder dot name, topic name, and then build that particular topic. So it will create the topic for us in our Kafka broker. So then once we have a topic, now we can start using it and publishing messages and awaiting to consume any messages from there. So then that is basically it. So the topic configuration, that's where we start, and then we move to our producer. So we have a string producer, which is produces a string message to our Kafka topic. And basically how we get that done is the first things first, this is a service, a Spring service, so string producer, and then we just adding a logger here to log anything that happens there. And then we say we want to get the Kafka topic, which is the topic name from our config, and then we have a Kafka template, which is serialized as string, and then that is Kafka template that is available to us. And then we have a string producer, which is our constructor for the class. So we're using constructor dependency injection here, so that when we instantiate this class, we just get that Kafka template available to us. So there will be an auto configuration by Spring that will give us the Kafka template to use. So that is essentially done for us right there. So this is our constructor, and we plug in our template, and then we just create one method here, which is publish. So it's public void publish, and then it takes a string of data, and then it just uses the Kafka template dot send and the topic name and the data. So Kafka template does have a number of methods here. So if you have the topic name, you can just send it as is, or you can set the topic and the key and the data, and topic partition key and the data. So all of these, you can use them according to your need to make sure that the messages that you want to publish actually get to the expected destination, essentially. So we just pass in the topic name and the data, then it should publish that to Kafka, and it should be fine. Then we just log the message to say string published as expected, and that's the data that we want to see. So when you see here on our logger, string published crash 98765, that is basically this logger right here, and which means it's a success and everything ran through as expected. So now we are going to move to the consumer before moving to a JSON producer. So we're going to go to the consumer, see how the consumer does the work. So on the consumer side, as you will see, this is also a Spring service right here, and we have a logger again to see what was consumed from our topic, and essentially we take in the topic name, and also we take in the group ID, of which we do not need, because in this instance here, the topics would want a constant value, and with Spring you cannot uh, get a property variable from a constant declared variable right here. So if I do something like that, then you'll see that it will initialize final field topic to declaration. So we need to initialize this, and then only Spring will be happy with us. But we don't want to do that. We want it to just pick up the topic name as from the config file. So that is fine with me. I can still use these values because I know which topic that I want to go to and which group ID I want to go to, which will always be the case with you as well. You know which topic you want to go to and group ID you want to go to. You just need to configure them according to your specific needs, and that should be fine. So essentially, these are just not needed at this level here, but I was just giving you an idea that it will be always better to get them from the application properties. And then the next thing is our consumer essentially will then take in the string data and just give that data to the logger. So this is the point where now you can do anything you want to do here. Call in a service class that will persist the data to your database, call in another API, inform another API of the event that just came in, send it to the agent, in case of a car crash for your tracker company. This is where you call the agent application to push in a notification to agents that will then uh, attend to that particular crash, call the client, call emergency services for a client. This is where you get to actually execute that. As the data comes in, clients or agents will be notified, and then they can call the clients and they can call emergency services for your clients. So essentially, the consumer just listens to the topic. If any event comes in, then it triggers this code right here. So if you can see, the annotation is add Kafka listener, and we pass in the topic and we pass in the consumer group ID like that. So that looks good for me. I'm happy with that. So here I've just commented out this code, but essentially it's the same. It's the same thing. So for this one, we are just passing in vehicle crash. So vehicle crash, you'll see in a few, it's just a POJO, and you'll see when we do the JSON message to our Kafka topic. So that's basically why that is commented out. And then basically this is string consumed data, and that's it. Nothing fancy there. And then the last part is the APIs. So what do the APIs do? So now we have a publish controller. As you can see, only one publish controller. So the consumer only listens, so nothing calls this consume message. Only the listener, the Kafka listener, waits for a message, then it kicks off this particular method right here. And then for the producer, then we have our publisher here, publish controller, which is a REST controller, and it has a request mapping of publish, and we have auto wired. So this is our dependency injection. The string producer class that is available to us, or service that is available to us, and then we also have the JSON producer right there. So we'll go through that JSON producer in a few. And then once we have the string producer or the producer available to us, then we can create our HTTP method or our HTTP mapping. So we have a post mapping for string, and what we do here is just a response entity, and we say publish, and this request param, which is data and string data, as you can see on our API right here. So we have publish. Let me just go back to crash. We have publish, and we have string, which is our API here, publish and string, and then the request param is data, like we have here. Data is equal to crash 98765, and that's basically the data that we want to push in there. Then we just call string producer dot publish data, and then we just have an OK, string publish completed, just like we have right here on our response. So that looks good. We can also, let's just publish, let's say another crash that we want to publish here. Let's just say 30,000. That's fine. Just send that. So that is published. Now let's check here. So crash 30,000 published, and crash 30,000 consumed right here. So we managed to publish a message like that, and we're able to consume it from our consumer here, which is basically just listening in on the topic. So the next thing that we want to confirm is what messages do we have in our in our topic. So let's just open a new terminal here, new terminal window, and then we want to go to our docs here. Then we want to see the command to check or read the messages that are in a topic. So we want to read the events. So we'll just take this command right here, and let's just go back to that, and basically just do that. So on a CD downloads Kafka, and then we want to check our topic. Just change the topic name here. Topic name is CK vehicle crash. That's our topic. Just make sure that that's what we have. Vehicle crash. That's good. Enter. So that's our topic. Then it's moving. So now our topic has all of these messages, and you will see we also have JSON data here, which you will see now in a few minutes. Let's just do 98765. 30,000 is there as well, so that looks good, and they were consumed by our consumer over here. So that is fine. And essentially, that's it for our Kafka. So just a quick recap. So we have our API, which produces or publishes a string message. And we have the producer, the string producer here, which uses a Kafka template of string, string. So the key is string, the message or the data is string. So that's the serialization that happens there. And essentially, it's the same thing for the JSON, but now we look at the serialization, which is the key to why they are different. So now if we go to our application properties, first things first, let's go to application properties. So we are going to comment out the value serializer here. We're going to comment it out because the producer must serialize this as in JSON, and we essentially do not want any issues. So let's just remove that. So now we're going to use the Spring Framework JSON serializer, and then also here the value deserializer, we're going to comment it out, and on the consumer we just want to have the JSON deserializer, and then trusted packages as well over there. So we're going to save this. So once this is saved, everything else remains the same. Topic is fine. So we're no longer using the string producer. We're going to be using the JSON producer, which essentially, if you look into the JSON producer, now our deserializer is in effect, is fine. So we have our topic, or we have our logger here as well. Then we have our topic from the application properties. Then now look at the Kafka template that we're using. So the Kafka template is no longer string string, but it's string, and it's now vehicle crash. So vehicle crash is our POJO. Let's just go right into it so that we see what we have there. So our vehicle crash is just a POJO, and it has user ID, vehicle registration, longitude and latitude, basically that Those are the 4 fields that we have, and those will be the ones that we are pushing into our topic. So this is vehicle crash. This is how it looks like, and then we have access modifiers here as well. So basically, we are fine, and we can continue with our producer, JSON producer here. So this is our Kafka template, and then this is the constructor that will be auto-configured because the dependency is injection. We're using the constructor, the dependency injection here. So Spring will just auto-configure this for us, and we'll have a Kafka template available. So now that is set up, so on the publish, what we do, because now this is a payload, not just a string, we will use the message which is given to us by Spring messaging dependency right there, and then we will have our message as a vehicle crash, and that will be just request, and then we use message builder with payload, and the payload is the data. Then we set the header for the particular message. Then we say Kafka headers.topic, then we pass in the topic name that we want over there. Then we build our request right here. So this is the message builder and our message of request, and we basically then call our template and just say send. So this send uses, as I mentioned before, there's a number of send here, so it uses the send message, the first one right here, which is what we have. So that particular request will be published to our topic, and then we just log that to say JSON publish data.getUserID. Then we'll see this in action. So now that the producer is now defined, and we got to understand how it does its work, let's go see the consumer for the JSON part of it. So now we are going to comment out this part so that we don't have any issues. So if you look at this, guys, let me actually uncomment this one out. Let me just do this. Right. So if you look at these two methods, they're the same thing. So for the topic, we're using the same topic name, but different topics, if they have different serialization, it's recommended that you have a different topic for each one. So this one you can say string, and this one you can say JSON. So if we use the same topic like this, then the serializer will actually throw an exception because it is not expecting to be dealing with a string. It is expecting to be dealing with a vehicle crash, and basically, or it is expecting to be dealing with a JSON object, which is not a string. So when it gets to that part of serialization, it will have those issues over there. But for now, I'm just showing you that you know what you will expect from your topic. So you will have one topic, and you will have the correct serialization and object that is passed in your consumer as well. So we'll comment this out, and we're going to save this project. So the listener will be the vehicle crash listener now, and we'll see the data.getUserID, and we'll see that being displayed over there. So you don't have to worry that, oh, what's going to happen behind the scenes. So Springboot will take care of the deserialization, as we have set the configuration right here on the properties for the consumer to deserialize according to JSON standard. So that's fine, and now it should be basically happy with us. And now we are going to the controller. So the controller, same thing. This is a post mapping. We just changed that to JSON. So the first one is string, this one is JSON, and it's also publish. So now we're taking a request body, which is a JSON that we have right over here. So the JSON crash. So this is the request body that we are talking about, and it's pointing to publish JSON. So vehicle crash is what we expect, and that's the crash. And then JSON producer.publish.crash. So when the crash happens on the vehicle, it will just publish that event to our topic, and then consumed by the agents and do their work. So basically, let's see this in action right now. I think we've spoken enough, and let's just do 700, let's say 001. That is fine. So this, let's just say this is vehicle say 2003, and yeah, longitude, latitude, that's still fine. We can just do maybe that. Let's just say send this. Let's see, JSON published completed. Now let's see here our producer. So JSON published 701, which is the user ID, and JSON consumed 701, which is user ID. So our producer, if you go to JSON producer right here, this is the logger, and it tells us JSON published data.getUserID. So that is what we produced to, or that is what we publish to our Kafka broker or our topic. And then on the consumer side, it was able to get the vehicle crash data and get the user ID just like we do here. So it was able to serialize and deserialize the data, and we don't have to worry about the boilerplate code that is happening behind the scenes. So basically that is what we have, and you can now use this vehicle crash object to persist it to the database, push those details into your front end, or trigger another API, send those details to say, okay, now this user experienced a crash, emergency services, and all of the other services that they would need based on the user details that you would have at this level right here. So basically that covers Kafka and how you can use Kafka to produce a message, consume a message using Springboot, and how an event can be triggered from one system, and then it will basically call in a different API or trigger a different process to follow. So let's just do 4, just do 3, one last example, send that again, 7321 published, then we come here, 7321 published, consumed. Then if you go to our topic right here, you can see event 7001 vehicle to 2003, and the other one 7321, and the vehicle 2103. So basically on the terminal here, I can see all the messages that are in the topic, and all of them are serialized correctly according to their serialization, and deserialized according to their deserialization. So that is looking good. Happy with this, and I hope this solution was helpful to you to understand how Kafka works, how you can set it up, and get the code done to deliver your particular application and to meet your use case for Kafka. So for now, happy coding, guys. Please do like and subscribe, share the video, and also do comment on the comment section down below. Let me know if you need the code. I'll make it available on Git. Just pop a comment to say, can I please have the code? Then I'll share it with you, share the repo, and then you can plug it, use it on your site. For now, until next time, cheers.